Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Bill Thomas, and here's a preview of some of today's stories. U.S. House Speaker and Taiwan's president met for the first time on California soil today. After discussions, the two say they feel a sense of mutual support. A tech executive is reportedly dead after a stabbing in San Francisco. Police have not made any arrests yet and are asking the public for help. And due to heavy storm damage, California can now receive federal support after the president recently issued a major disaster declaration for the state. A historic meeting took place in Southern California today between the House Speaker and Taiwan's president. Both say they feel the meeting strengthened their bond.
U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy met Taiwanese President Tsai at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California on Wednesday. He became the most senior U.S. figure to meet a Taiwanese leader on U.S. soil since 1979, despite threats of retaliation from China. Both discussed a sense of mutual support and cooperation in their statements.
I believe our bond is stronger now than at any time or point in my lifetime. The friendship between the people of Taiwan and America is a matter of profound importance to the free world, and it is critical to maintain economic freedom, peace, and regional stability.
Tsai thanked the U.S. Congress for standing by Taiwan when democracy was under threat. To McCarthy and other lawmakers, she cited former U.S. President Ronald Reagan in her belief, quote, "To preserve peace, we must be strong."
Their presence and unwavering support reassure the people of Taiwan that we are not isolated and we are not alone.
They stood at an atrium in front of a blue and white Boeing aircraft that Reagan flew on as president in the 1980s.
We will honor our obligations and reiterate our commitment to our shared values, behind which all Americans are united. Today was a bipartisan meeting, Republicans and Democrats united together in a place that symbolizes the freedom and the commitment and the bond that's only become stronger with the president with us today.
However, it is no secret that today, the peace that we have maintained and the democracy which have worked hard to build are facing unprecedented challenges. President Reagan said it best: freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for and defended constantly by each generation.
The United States broke off official ties with Taiwan in 1979, while formally establishing diplomatic relations with the Beijing government. The U.S. does not have diplomatic relations with Taiwan, but has kept an unofficial relationship through commercial and economic ties. China repeatedly warned against the meeting between McCarthy and Tsai, who was on her first U.S. stopover since 2019, although some analysts expect China's reaction to be more moderate compared to Pelosi's Taipei visit. A meeting in California is seen as a potentially less provocative alternative to McCarthy visiting Taiwan, something he has said he hopes to do.
While McCarthy and Tsai spoke at the Ronald Reagan Library, people gathered nearby and waved both pro-Taiwan and pro-Beijing banners. Meanwhile, residents of China and Taiwan shared their thoughts on the meeting.
U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy welcomed Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen in California on Wednesday, despite threats of retaliation from China, which claims Taiwan as its own. Supporters and protesters on Tuesday gathered outside the Los Angeles hotel where Tsai is staying. She met with McCarthy at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley. The historic meeting is a high-profile encounter designed to boost support for the island government, but it's already drawing blowback from an enraged China. Beijing residents say it will be, quote, futile.
Tsai Ing-wen went to the U.S. mainly because she may have lost too many diplomatic relations recently, so she wants to go there to consolidate their relationship with the United States. It's likely because she's trying to keep the few remaining diplomatic relations she got left, but I think it's futile.
I do not support the relevant leaders of Taiwan meeting with the U.S. leaders because I think Taiwan is a part of China. Then there must be one only window for all the leaders to deal with international affairs. So, if it is only the leader of Taiwan province to meet with the relevant leaders of the United States alone, it clashes with the idea of a unified Greater China region. So I don't support it.
China views Taiwan as its own territory and treats any dealings between U.S. and Taiwanese officials as a challenge to its sovereignty. For Tsai, the meeting on Wednesday with McCarthy is the most sensitive stop on her tour through the U.S. and Central America, which has prompted Chinese threats of retaliation. Tsai's tour is a bid to demonstrate that her government has international support, and Taipei residents are unfazed, saying they are used to the threats.
They might impose some sanctions, or some of our agricultural products will be sent back again, and so on. So I think there might be some moves like that. We will just take things as they come. That's just life, isn't it?
I think Taiwanese aren't bothered by China's reactions, because when I was going for a walk, some news about China came out. But I think the Taiwanese are pretty used to this. Regarding Tsai's diplomacy efforts, I think they are helpful for Taiwan's visibility.
Basically, I think that the current situation is that we shouldn't let too many countries participate in these affairs, because in the end, it would be better if Taiwan and China resolve cross-strait relations themselves. Currently, it looks like the U.S. wants to control the situation between both sides of the strait. But if the Americans get involved, the region will just get more complicated. We don't want that.
The private meeting between Tsai and McCarthy comes against the very public backdrop of heightened U.S. focus on China over its actions at home and abroad. China staged war games around Taiwan last August, following the visit to Taipei of then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Taiwan's defense ministry said a Chinese aircraft carrier group was in the waters off the island's southeast coast ahead of the meeting between Tsai and McCarthy in California.
High-profile tech executive Bob Lee was allegedly murdered yesterday in a stabbing in San Francisco. Lee was the co-founder of a mobile payment service known as Cash App. NTD's Jason Blair has the latest information.
According to San Francisco police, early morning on Tuesday, a 43-year-old man was stabbed and killed a couple of blocks from the Bay Bridge. According to MobileCoin, that man was the crypto tech company's chief product officer, Bob Lee. Lee was also the co-founder of Cash App and the former chief technical officer of Square. SFPD reported that the stabbing happened around 2 a.m. when the 43-year-old male victim was allegedly stabbed and suffered life-threatening injuries. He was transported to a hospital where he passed away. So far, the police have not named the victim as Bob Lee. Officials and friends of Lee have posted on Twitter about the tragic news. The CEO of Abra tweeted, quote, "He was a generous, decent human being who didn't deserve to be killed." San Francisco Supervisor Matt Dorsey tweeted, quote, "My heart goes out to Mr. Lee's family members, friends, and loved ones." MMA fighter Jake Shields tweeted, quote, "He was in the good part of the city and appeared to have been targeted in a random mugging attack." Elon Musk replied to Shields on Twitter saying, quote, "Very sorry to hear that. Many people I know have been severely assaulted." Musk also tagged San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins asking, quote, "Is the city taking stronger action to incarcerate repeat violent offenders?" Jenkins did not respond directly to Musk. However, she did comment on the homicide saying, quote, "I want to extend my sincerest condolences to Mr. Lee's family members and loved ones for his loss. We do not tolerate these horrific acts of violence in San Francisco." So far, no arrests have been made. Police are asking anyone with any information to call 1-415-575-4444. Jason Blair, NTD News, San Francisco.
California could require schools to screen young children for dyslexia. Newly introduced Senate Bill 691 would require all districts to screen children in kindergarten through second grade for dyslexia annually unless their parents choose to opt out. The bill's author, Senator Anthony Portantino, said that it's easier to help a child overcome dyslexia when it's identified early. SB 691 is receiving much support from special education organizations, also educators, affected parents, and children with dyslexia. But some educator groups and teachers' unions oppose the bill, saying it would add an extra burden on teachers and may misidentify learners. California is currently one of only 10 states which doesn't require dyslexia screening for students. And President Biden has issued a major disaster declaration for the state of California. The state will now receive federal aid in response to the heavy damage caused by the recent storms that have pummeled the state.
President Joe Biden issued a statement on April 3rd approving California's disaster declaration. The announcement comes after the state had been relentlessly hit by storms that have caused major damage and destruction. According to the statement, federal relief will assist local recovery efforts in areas affected by the storms. These areas include the counties of Kern, Mariposa, Monterey, San Benito, Santa Cruz, Tulare, and Tuolumne. The statement reads, quote, "Assistance can include grants for temporary housing and home repairs, low-cost loans to cover uninsured property losses, and other programs to help individuals and business owners recover from the effects of the disaster." Federal funding will also be available to state, tribal, eligible local governments, and certain private nonprofit organizations on a cost-sharing basis for emergency work. Governor Gavin Newsom had requested the emergency measures late last month in a letter to FEMA. In a statement released on Monday, Newsom says that assessments are currently underway, which could expand the scope of the program. Residents and businesses in the affected areas can apply for federal relief at disasterassistance.gov.
We'll take a short break now, but here's a look at what we have when we come back. NASA announced the names of the 4 astronauts who will take part in a new moon mission. The mission will be piloted by a Southern California native. Last week, 2 unions representing the Los Angeles Unified School District went on a 3-day strike, but now a complaint is challenging the legality of the strike. And Corgis took over the sands of Southern California's Huntington Beach. The dogs took part in various competitions to show off their skills and style. That and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Bill Thomas. NASA recently announced the names of the 4 astronauts who will take part in a new mission known as Artemis 2. The 10-day mission aims to fly around the Earth's moon. Let's hear more from the mission's pilot, who happens to be a Southern California native.
NASA announced on Monday Victor Glover, Reed Wiseman, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen will be the future crew members of the Artemis 2 mission.
We have a lot to celebrate, and it's so much more than the 4 names that have been announced. We need to celebrate this moment in human history, because Artemis 2 is more than a mission to the moon and back. It's more than a mission that has to happen before we send people to the surface of the moon. It is the next step on the journey that gets humanity to Mars.
Hailing from Pomona, California, Glover will pilot the mission. Before joining NASA, he served as a U.S. Navy captain. At the Monday press conference, Glover thanked all the family members and friends who supported the 4 astronauts.
I also pray that we can continue to serve as a source of inspiration for cooperation and peace, not just between nations, but in our own nation. Thank you, and God bless us all.
The Artemis 2 program will be the first flight around the moon in 50 years. It will lead the way for a moon landing in 2025.
Last week, 2 unions representing the Los Angeles Unified School District went on a 3-day strike, which disrupted classes for over 420,000 students. However, the strike is being challenged, and now an administrative judge will be deciding if that strike was legal.
Members of the Unified Teachers of Los Angeles, or UTLA, and the SEIU Local 99 Union walked off the job on March 21st in demand for more support and higher wages. The three-day strike stopped classes for over 420,000 students. The unions represent over 65,000 district teachers, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, custodians, and special education assistants for the Los Angeles Unified School District, or LAUSD. It is the second largest district in the nation. In the days leading up to the strike, the LAUSD filed charges with the Relations Board to issue an injunction to stop the strike. There was also a complaint filed claiming the strike was illegal because it was declared before the unions completed the step-by-step processes as required by the board for negotiations. The LAUSD accuses the union's actions as, quote, a purely economic strike initiated before the union has exhausted the board's mediation and fact-finding procedures, and includes the participation of employees who are essential to preventing an imminent and substantial threat to the public health or safety. On March 29th, a spokesperson for the LAUSD also confirmed to the Epoch Times that the two parties were still in the fact-finding stage. But union leaders maintained that they had the right to strike and that LAUSD's charges are unfounded. According to a March 27th statement, the UTLA says, quote, LAUSD should have been focused on resolving the issues and respecting their employees. A spokesperson for SEIU Local 99 was not immediately available for comment.
This past weekend, thousands of dog lovers took over the sands of Southern California's Huntington Beach. Corgi Beach Day is an annual event filled with festivities, competitions, and, of course, corgis.
On April 1st, thousands of corgi owners and dog lovers celebrated the 11th annual Corgi Beach Day. The event, which is led and hosted by Mr. Pickles the Corgi, is held in Huntington Beach and has been growing in popularity since it first started in 2012. The festivities are centered around multiple competitions in the game's arena, which include corgis competing for Best Fetcher, Best Costume, and musical chairs. Each winner took home a special trophy. A corgi named Kilo showed off his red Hawaiian shirt and matching lei after receiving his trophy for winning first place in the Corgi Limbo competition. The crowd was delighted when Bubbles the Corgi won the Best Fetch competition. Her owner, Jeff Wu, told the Epoch Times, quote, we knew this would be a perfect challenge for Bubbles. She loves to fetch. She can play this all day. In the end, Maisie took first place as a giant blue loofah with hand-glued plastic bubbles. Her owner, Tracy Blue, wore a full-length bathrobe and shower cap to match the running loofah.
And if you love berries, Southern California's Knott's Berry Farm is worth a visit. The amusement park is decked out with purple decorations and giant boysenberry statues, and all to celebrate National Boysenberry Day. Several cafes in the theme park are also featuring berry-flavored dishes this month.
Knott's Berry Farm holds a festival every year in April to celebrate the world's newest berry, which is also native to the Knott family farm. Besides its signature boysenberry jam, the park also offers creative dishes and products featuring boysenberries during the festival. John, from Fountain Valley, an annual pass holder, stood in line to enter the boysenberry pie eating contest. He told the Epoch Times, I have been having a lot of fun out here today, riding the rides and trying out all of the boysenberry dishes. They even have boysenberry jambalaya for sale down by the Ghost Rider roller coaster, which was amazing, I should add. Knott's Berry Farm was founded by the Knott family in the 1950s, but before Walter Knott founded the 12th most visited theme park in the U.S., he was a berry farmer in Buena Park. When his friend Rudolph Boysen abandoned an experiment to create a new berry in the 1930s, Walter picked up where Boysen left off. He successfully grew a sweet and juicy purple berry and named it after his friend. It's a cross between a loganberry, red raspberry, and blackberry, and all boysenberries in the world today trace their roots to Knott's Berry Farm. This year's Boysenberry Festival will be held daily from March 10th to April 16th, and on the weekends from April 21st through May 7th.
Now to NTD's Tyler Castillo for an update on sports.
Hello, I'm Tyler Castillo. Welcome to today's California Sports Roundup.
A 14th team will join the National Women's Soccer League next year after the league said on Tuesday it had been awarded expansion rights to an investment group representing the Bay Area in California. Private equity group Sixth Street, which has investments with top Spanish sides Real Madrid and Barcelona, will be the new Bay Area club's majority investor. They have partnered with 4 former U.S. women's national team players, Brandy Chastain, Leslie Osborne, Danielle Slayton, and Allie Wagner, who worked to bring a NWSL expansion team to the Bay Area. Sixth Street CEO Alan Waxman also served on the NWSL's Board of Governors, while he and Wagner will co-chair the club's board. California currently has 2 teams in the league, Angel City FC based in Los Angeles and San Diego Wave FC.
Jordan Poole poured in 18 fourth-quarter points, and Golden State, which never led through 3 periods, rallied past Oklahoma City for a win in San Francisco. The Warriors outscored the Thunder 34-19 in the fourth quarter. Stephen Curry paced the Warriors with 34 points, and Poole finished with 30. The result moved the Warriors into 5th place at the Western Conference, a half game ahead of the Los Angeles Clippers, who now sit in the final automatic playoff position. Warriors 136, Thunder 125.
Domantas Sabonis had a triple-double. Keegan Murray produced a barrage of 3-pointers, and visiting Sacramento overcame a slow offensive start to rout New Orleans. Sabonis finished with 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists, and De'Aaron Fox added 23 points and 9 assists as the Kings won the Pacific Division for the first division title in 20 years. Kings 121, Pelicans 103. LeBron James scored 37 points and hit a game-winning layup in overtime to help Los Angeles Lakers edge Utah and Salt Lake City. Austin Reeves added 28 points and Anthony Davis totaled 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists as the Lakers won their 4th straight and moved a step closer to clinching a playoff spot. Lakers 135, Jazz 133. Will Smith hit his 3rd home run in 3 games, and Julio Urias went 6 scoreless innings as Los Angeles pulled off a 2-game sweep of visiting Colorado. Jason Hayward added his 2nd home run in 2 games, while Max Muncy also went deep for the Dodgers. Urias gave up 5 hits and no walks, while striking out 6. Evan Phillips got the last 2 outs for his first save. Dodgers 5, Rockies 2. Tony Kemp singled home Ryan Noda with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning, delivering Oakland a walk-off win over visiting Cleveland. Neither team had scored since the 6th before Noda drew a walk from Cleveland's 4th pitcher, James Karinchak, to lead off the 9th, and Esteury Ruiz infield out of advance Noda to 2nd with 2 outs, and he scored the game-ender on Kemp's hit to right. Trevor May earned the win after pitching a scoreless top of the 9th. A's 4, Guardians 3.
That is all we have for sports today. I'm Tyler Castillo. See you next time.
That's all we've got for you tonight, and would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Also, make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage, and you can find that at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. And if you could, please send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, and that's california.today@ntd.com. I'm Bill Thomas, and for all of us here in the newsroom, have a great night.